St. Pete about DOGE today. What's your thoughts on that protest?
What are they protesting?
I guess they don't like DOGE.
Well, look, Floridians have seen their property tax bills go up. That's not the state. You know, I was announcing all these tax breaks, like, well, why didn't, I just got my property tax, but well, that's not coming from the state. I'm like, we have record surplus, we have record rainy day. They're like, well, don't take as much property. We're not taking property tax at the state, that's local. And what happens is people's property values have gone up and they've had to pay more and more. Even with homestead, it still goes up. And heaven forbid, you got to buy a new home because some people's jobs change. They got to move to a different part of town, different part of the state. Then their tax basis is way higher. So the question is you've seen a lot of bloat in budgets. Where's that money going to? And they'll say it's for things that we all agree on, education, public safety, first responders. But I can tell you there's a lot of stuff beyond that some of these governments are spending this tax dollars on. And so you absolutely can do property tax relief. And, people are saying that, like, well, why someone has, like, some investor is buying, why should they get a property tax? They don't need to. I mean, I think it should apply to Florida residents and their primary resident. Fine. If they want to tax the investors and use that, that's totally fine. But you either own your home or you don't. So I think this is all part of a process to show taxpayers there is relief available. Now, you're going to have to vote for it when it's on the ballot, and it's going to need 60%. It's not something that we can, that Jim Boyd can pass through the legislature and I sign, and then that's just how it is. That's not the way Florida's Constitution is structured. So just know we're working hard on this. There's going to be a good proposal. I know Ben Albritton and Jim and the other leadership team in the Senate are very, very interested in getting something in front of the voters. And so that will happen. But what they're going to say when that happens is, you can't reduce people's property taxes because we're not going to have schools or we're not going to have public, and that's not true. And what DOGE is doing is it's showing some of the things that have been done, on local level. And look, not every local government, has done poor. There's some that have done good, and it's a variety. But I can tell you, if you look at the growth of these budgets over the last 3 or 4 years, it is not just because of public safety or education. It's just not. I mean, there's more to it than that. And so, do you need to be spending $3 million on DEI consultants? Would you rather them spend it on that, or would you rather a property tax cut? Do you want them spending on some of the things that they're, and so we've been able, I think the Blaze leading it has been able to show, that there's a lot of different things. And I think there's going to be more and more to come. Now, we've also done through the state, even before these teams are going to local governments, we're doing the universities, we're doing state agencies, we're doing different things, and we're going to continue to do it because I think it's important. And we have found grants that states have pulled down federally that we sent back to feds. There have been other things that are going to need to be cleaned up as well. So this is not just unique to like a city government. I mean, the education bureaucracies are big. The universities are even. We've held the line on tuition admirably, but the reality is, these things grow. Now, we eliminated DEI. We're the first to do that a few years ago. And I think, like, on the surface, they comply, but then some of them do it, and they rename, and they put it down, they do all this stuff. So it's constantly going through all this. So I think it's good. I think what Blaze is leading is good for taxpayers, and I think it's going to be able to produce an ability for us to be able to say, you can own your own home. We can do it in Florida. We can make all this work while meeting the priorities that we all agree on. But for some of the stuff that is not necessary, I'd rather that go to tax cuts. I'd rather that go to relief for property. And the thing is when you have home values rise like that, and it's not just in Florida. Like, we may have had more because we had more authentic demand. People were fleeing these places, coming here, but they went up everywhere. And I don't think we've ever had a higher home value average compared to average income or median income. I mean, it is out of whack. It's hard to afford. And then you have the cost of these other things, insurance, you have the cost of property tax. Well, the one thing, we can't control the price of homes, but the one thing that government through the people can control is the taxation. That's purely a government function. That is not subject to market forces. That is within the control of the government. And what happens is your property gets assessed higher and higher. It's an unrealized gain. You haven't sold it for that much. They're just telling you it's worth that much. And guess what happens? When the market corrects, which it inevitably does, do they rush in to assess your property at a lower level? I don't think so. I don't think that, not that I'm aware of. So it's a one-way ratchet. And so you basically get stuck paying higher taxes. I think someone's personal residence, if it's homesteaded property, I think you got to be able to own it free and clear of the government. I think that is what living in a free state ultimately means. No income tax, and you can own your home free and clear without having to pay rent to the government. And I think it's totally doable. And also, because I have people will say, there's some of these people, they're buying all these homes and they're renting them out, all this stuff. Fine. Well, guess what? If the personal residence is tax-free and those can still be taxed, then it's a way to say we're putting a premium on individual family home ownership. It'll make it more attractive. It'll make the other stuff less attractive relative. So I think it would solve a lot of problems 100%. All right, thanks everybody.